Awesome. Welcome everyone to the Creative Soul Society. We are here with an artist interview with Andrea Hentze. I'm really excited to speak with her today because every time I speak to an artist, I'm always getting really inspired. And she has a beautiful collection of work. We found her on Instagram. Go ahead and add Jennifer here. And I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen just so that you can see her style and what she's about. We're going to look at her Instagram account. She does have a website as well, but I will share her Instagram. And then we'll dive into asking her about her process. So here we go. All right, everybody can see? Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So she's an abstract painter from Germany. She's very intuitive with freedom and emotions. And she says that her paintings are snapshots of her soul's expression. Beautiful. So she does a lot of journal work, a lot of black and whites, I noticed. A lot of,
Yeah, lately.
Yeah, on the black and whites. I love that. Studio notes, birthday cakes. Oh, I love these little minis. I've been doing minis too lately. Those are fun. Yeah. Andrea, which ones are you resonating with? Is it like later work or is it more newer work? I'm just kind of scrolling here because I know you're changing a little bit because before there was a little bit of color palette was different.
True. So I think now is the changing point where you are scrolling. So this year I'm using much more vivid color scheme, but interestingly, the black ones you can see here, they are quite deep and meaningful for me too. This was last year, and last year was quite a year of change and releasing, I guess. And I'm a fan of black, and it's no wonder that I used a lot of black last year and also this year in a much clearer way. But yeah, I think last year was very inspiring for me to find my way as artist and to deepen into it. So I work here a lot of often in paper, with paper, in an A3 format. So that's my go-to substrate currently. So I'm targeting to go bigger. But for now, I mainly work in journals and on paper.
Very cool.
So that were the very early ones. They were really raw as I started last year. I have this 100-day journey thingy often going on. So that's one thing. I start out with something, and it were the early ones. And I think that's A4. It's smaller, and then I went a little bit bigger, and it's just capturing the mood of the day. And every day then a new one. But that's quite a while ago. So I think I'm resonating the most for sure now. Even I'm still processing it. So because my art is intuitive, it's just very much in the moment.
Beautiful. I love that you said the word raw, because when I was looking at it, it felt really raw. But I'm kind of curious, if we don't mind, if we could just kind of start with like how you started. Like, have you always been expressing yourself like as a child, or is it just more recently? You said last year was kind of like finding your voice, but that's like where you started with your journey.
So I think I was an artsy child in some way. So I drew a little bit, and I had this idea to become a designer, to somehow design things. And then I lost it. I think that's a story of a lot of women. So I lost my passion, and I was more put into this frame of going to school, getting good grades, focusing on the normal stuff, and art wasn't something that was very cherished.
Oh, sorry. Hold on, I muted you on accident. There's two Andreas here. Can you unmute yourself, Andrea? I apologize. Thank you. No, you're still muted. Here we go.
No.
There you are. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So art wasn't something very cherished in my family, I guess. So I just lost it. Art is something, you draw something, but it's not a profession in my family to go for. I think I have painted and drawn until I made my A-levels, and then I started an apprenticeship, and I started to study sociology. Then I become a bank clerk, and I did a lot of different things, but never related to art anymore. And as I birthed my son 5 years ago, all of a sudden everything changed. I think three different things came together. On the one hand, my dad passed away, and he was a little bit artsy. He never approached it seriously, but he was the one who had this little watercolor palette I found in the basement as a child. And I said, "Well, what is that?" And it's totally dusty. And oh, that was from my dad. So I wasn't very, very close with my dad because my parents were divorced. But there was this story about my dad for myself as a child, and he was kind of artsy, and it was always something magical. And as he passed away, I recalled this heritage because I have drawn myself and I have lost it somewhere, and it was a connection to him, and all of a sudden it became so meaningful. It was the only thing I had with him. I had not much memories as grown up, and so that was something very, very special. And with birthing my son, there was sure the time, and I think there is something happening in the body. I'm sure there is something happening. I can't explain it, but all of a sudden there was this interest for drawing, and I started to approach drawing and having a sketchbook also daily. So I was totally obsessed right from the beginning, and it took me 2 years. I experimented with having a bullet journal because I'm an IT project manager, so I'm very planned, I'm very structured. So that's my normal profession in normal life. And having a bullet journal, a planner was quite normal for me. So it was not that big jump into creating and into art. And I think after 2 years, there was something like a spark, like having a lot of pictures in my mind. I see myself creating huge canvases of abstract art, and I hadn't got this connection to abstract art. I had that's so strange that I have these feelings and these pictures, and that there is something I was really called to dig deeper into it, and to do my research and try things out. So this was then in 2020 where I thought, so okay, let's start this and try acrylics and go all in. And this is now a 3 years journey, I recall, and I did a lot of online courses to just get the groundwork. And I was in the beginning, in the first year, I thought, so okay, there must be a subject matter, Andrea. Where is your subject matter actually? So I learned how to apply the paint, how to explore things, but and I knew I had still these pictures and visions in my mind, me freely expressing myself and creating huge canvases. And I think the subject matter found me. So expressing myself is definitely a theme. It's not coming very naturally and easily flowing to me. Even it looks maybe on Instagram so easy, and so these nice, lovely pictures. But for me, it's really a quest and a process, and it's always combined with inner work, with journaling, with the next hurdle, the next inner challenge. So I expressing my voice, finding my voice is a big theme for me, and it's emotional labor to create my paintings. And as I started out, I was so much procrastinating that the biggest challenge in my art journey is procrastinating the thing I love. So there is this love and hate relationship. So that's something I'm dealing with. That's a journey, actually.
Yes, I have to say I relate to so much of your story, especially because I went through a very, I guess, like a dry period of not creating before I had my kids. And then I remember having my
Mm-hmm.
2 kids, and then there was just this a huge, strong desire of wanting to feed myself and wanting to just
Mm-hmm.
create. And it was just like, well, you need to create and you need to like let people know about it. Cause I was always very like never
Oh.
show people my art. So it's like I wanted to, I hear where you're at of just doing it for yourself and that you're on this quest. And I feel like as
Mm.
artists, we do go through that. And I remember going through a phase as well of it is a love and a hate of like being able to, it's a relationship. You're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that there's this, you have an Instagram one on there and it says, well, it says, who am I? You're asking yourself, who am I? And
Mm.
then you're saying, this is me, this is me just like looking for myself and going on this journey. And, you're on this journey with me of exploring all these emotions. So that's what I think is so raw that, you just put
Yeah.
yourself out there. That's awesome. So I'm so
Mm-hmm.
curious about your daily practice. I mean, are you an
Mm-hmm.
artist? Some artists don't practice every day, and that's totally fine. But what is it
Mm-hmm.
for you? Or is it like you like to work at nighttime? Do you like find time in your day, or like
Mm-hmm.
how does it work for you?
Mm-hmm. That's so interesting because it's always changing. I
Mhm.
just learn that everything is changing and flowing, and I allow myself to flow in my structures as well. As I started out 3 years ago, because I'm that project manager,
Mhm.
I'm I'm having my habit list and having 10 and created 10 creative habits, color swatching, then you do your warm up, then you do your sketchbook entry, then you play with a new tool, then you try a little tiny painting. So I did it all very structured in the beginning, and I think it helped me a lot because I was this procrastinator and I needed an accountability partner. So I was myself this accountability partner in these 100-day challenges. So just having this, okay, every day, Andrea, you can make it. So I needed it in one aspect. And over time, I realized that the structure, this daily creating, so it helped me enormously to speak out the sentence, I'm an artist. It took me really long. And
Mhm.
I journaled every morning, and I journaled 200 times in my journal, I'm an artist, I'm an artist, because I had such a huge resistance, and I had really this identity shift for me from being a project manager, whatever I identified with, all the skills, to no, Andrea, there is another part, and it's let it out. So I was really determined to work with this identity shift. But over time, then I realized, okay, I need more fluidity. It doesn't help me to be that structured. My son was then 2 years old as I started really to go obsessed into abstract art, and I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not that 4 o'clock in the morning person. And I had 2 hours of creating miracle mornings with meditation and yoga, and having my first art session before my little one got up at 6. So I was really structured. And it was 2020 when COVID hit, and I couldn't sustain this. I couldn't sustain this level on energy and also dedication, and it was just too much. And last year I felt so exhausted of being that structured and being that whatever I wanted to be, to make it happen, to be that artist. I was so focused, and that I slowly let go of the 100-day projects and of daily creating, and created more space in between, and the space in between to feel into what is it I really need. I really need in that moment. I don't need to do things every day. So I'm very good and very determined and focused. There is a structure, there is a goal, I go for it, but I lose myself in between this hard journey and these hard limits. And this year, it's a journey for me to let us all go completely, and sitting with the uncomfortable feeling of I'm doing nothing except I feel it. Really, I feel for it in my heart, not because my mind is saying, now you have space, now you have time, Andrea, it's a perfect idea. Now you do the swatches, now you do your sketchbook.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to feel it in my heart and create from another place, from a place of trust and from a place of flow, and not this fear-based place. So that's all new this year. These concepts I'm playing with, the concept of my own identity, of what gives me freedom, what gives me structure, what do I need as artist. And it feels like this year everything is slowed down, definitely slowed down, even more than last year, but also a little bit chaotic. And in this chaos, I find a new way of being, and I was craving that. I know there was a part of me that craved something totally different than this structured approach. And I know it was perfect as I was very structured. It was a perfect time to be very structured, and now it's just a perfect time to throw it all away and to be more open. And it's amazing. The last 2 weeks, there are weeks. So 1 week when there's just too much in my schedule with my part-time project manager job and with my 5 years old, that I just don't have the different mindset and the groundedness to go into the studio. So I'm in my studio. I'm always be here, also when I'm working for my other job. So I'm always surrounded with my art, and always connected, and it's always available for me to just go and create a collage, or just throw some paint on the paper. But I'm really listening now into it. And there was 1 week where I had no time at all to create. And then there was this one evening, and I had this one evening, and I created 10 little collages. I never did before, but I felt it, and I had my music in the ears, and I just created. And I had the same on last Friday, so where I had several days no time at all, and I was really frustrating, and I felt this feeling of it's building up. So there was this urge to create. And on this Friday, I just went, instead of having my morning walk and instead of having yoga, I just said, okay, no shower, no second cup of tea, just go in the studio and do it. And so I'm really feeling now into it. What is it this very moment, what I crave in this moment? And that's a hard lesson for me, actually, to leave all this structure behind.
That's beautiful. I mean, I honor your dedication, like for you to do the 100-day project and actually follow through, with that structure. That's really amazing. And now you're listening to, okay, maybe I need to slow down and just like listen to like what's going to make you feel satisfied. I think that's really cool to do that. I'm curious about, because you're pretty present on Instagram. What is your relationship with like social media? Is it something that like you excited to share your work on, or do you feel pressure to share your work? I'm kind of just curious what your thought about that.
Yeah, it feels like I had so much different emotions in the last years of being on Instagram, in this relationship with social media. as I started with my bullet journaling, I found on Instagram all these bullet mainly women and girls. And I was so fascinated that they are posting every day, because I wasn't in social media before and I had no, it was such a new world. I said, oh my God, how inspiring. And as I started it, I felt, okay, they are doing it consistently. Probably this is how you do it. So I started with doing it also every day. And in the bullet journal community, there are very engaged, and it's a huge community. And as I started, it was a topic what really goes up. So all my following, most of my following was created there. So I had a huge, is it success? I had a huge engagement in my posts. I had really, there was 2 years of amazing growth and amazing community. And as I decided, I leave that behind, and it took a while to let that go, and said, okay, I have my vision in my mind. I create these huge canvases, and it doesn't fit with a bullet journal in the size. There is a growth period between that, and also my following will change, everything will change. And then I had some months where I posted this bullet journal just because I have something to post, and I wasn't into it. And then I thought, okay, I need to let this go. I mingled then a little bit of abstract work with this bullet journaling until I really could say, okay, now is now. I let this go and I go my way. And I definitely knew that it was such a downer then to have not that feedback, to get not the rewards of people liking. So I could see, also I could feel myself getting this addicted, so being that there was a really a hard ride. And I think only this year, and it's the 3rd year into the abstract art journey and also posting about my abstract art, it feels like I broke it for myself, this addiction to post and to be validated. So I really look deep into myself about this, what I'm gaining here, what I'm looking for, what I'm looking outside, what I need to give myself first inside. And I really learned this year, I see myself first, no matter what. And this was also the time where I started to not post daily. And now I'm posting every 3 to 4 days, sometimes only once a week. And also here, I try to learn to post and share in the moment when I feel to share it. And in the past, I had planned my feed. There are numerous planning apps, and I knew them all, I felt. And this is now everything shifted. I just want to go with the flow in everything I do creatively, and so also in sharing. And I want to share from a feeling of I love to share, and not from this tension in my body. I want to share because I want something back. So
Right.
this is just something I needed to learn the hard way, and I felt I have learned a lot in the last years.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah, it have to come from a place of just overflow, right? Of giving. Most definitely. So I'm curious, what's your vision? Like, you said you wanted to see yourself doing large scale paintings. Do you want to exhibit? Are you exhibiting now? Or are you like, where would you like to go with your work?
Yeah. So I would love to create bigger work, but mainly to feel my body. So with doing this intuitive art, I come more and more into my body. So when I say the art is an expression of myself, it's also this complete change from structure to freedom, from a very mind-based, analyzed, conceptual based world of living, and disconnecting with my body to come into a very sensual in a sensual way of being. Also dancing is something I integrated this year. I'm doing a lot of yoga to slow down, to be mindful, to feel more in my body. So when I want to create bigger work, then it's mainly because I want to feel it. I want to bring it all in, so all the energy. And yeah, luckily, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's this. Luckily, I have my part-time job as an IT project manager. Sometimes I would prefer to be a full-time artist, but luckily I have it because I'm financially set up. So there is no pressure on my art to create money with it. And in the beginning, I had this idea. So okay, Andrea, within 6 months, you make a series and you will sell your art and you will do this and this. And because now I'm so slowing down and I'm really working from within, it's just, I let it come to me. And I'm very happy that I have my job and that this is something which is my baseline, and I can just create my art for the sake of exploring. And I feel it's the third year I have repeated it so often today, but it still feels so like in the beginning of the beginning. So there is so much to explore. And also when there is this idea of I would love to sell my art and I would love to show my art in exhibitions, and there are opportunities where I could do this. I feel for myself that's such a development to let my art go and to let myself be seen, and the feeling of let myself be maybe judged for what I do or what I not do. I don't want to make it too complicated, but this is all the stuff which goes into when I create art, and it's so yeah, it's a journey, and it's a journey to let go for me, and it's a journey to show and to, so therefore I just keep it as it is now, and I'm happy to show it on Instagram, and everything else, yeah, let's see how it will go, how it will develop, and what feels right in that very moment. So
yeah, you'll know when you're ready, like you're ready to let it
yeah,
go, like great, or let it
yeah,
or to exhibit or to bring it out there. So I love that you're just in
mm-hmm.
that exploration phase. And it reminds me of Elizabeth Gilbert, The Big Magic, when she was talking about not putting so much pressure on yourself to make your art.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why you're doing it is because you want to find yourself, you want to express yourself, and that's the key right there. So that's why you should be doing it. So that's nice to stay in that space. All right, I want
Yeah.
to ask you one more question before I open it up to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see, do you have any words of wisdom that,
Mm.
like, say if people are just starting out, you're just getting their feet wet, putting their self out there, that type of thing, that you'd like to let them know that helped you? It sounded like, doing these 100-day projects, things like that were helpful, but anything else that you think that
Mm-hmm.
would, like, boost their confidence, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
something that you did that helped you?
Yeah. On a practical way, keeping a sketchbook or a journal, a creative journal, is one of the most beautiful treasures I found on the way.
Mhm.
So I started with normal sketchbooks, exploring ideas and drawing into them, but then I really mixed it up with a reflection. So for my art practice, there is a part where I paint. There is a huge part where I reflect about it. I can journal about it. I'm recorded when I speak, so I speak into my phone when I have a walk. So
Oh,
I find that also very helpful when I have my walk on the lake. So just in nature, I'm very grounded, and then I just speak whatever comes to mind when I thinking of my art or the next steps or whatever. So this is something I explore. And yeah, keeping in journal and to check in. For me, that's a checkpoint. What it is now I'm interested in, and it's a visual diary, and so I can track my journey. I can learn from my journey, and from the journal, and see the threads weaving of interests, of not only the colors, the tools, just, and for me also the symbols which emerge. When I see the black from last year, I see that it is like a protection cover, and I see all the vibrant pinks and fluorescent colors underneath. And in this year I was brave enough to give the black another part in my work, and to let the really vibrant colors come through. And I know where I was in my internal journey last year and where I'm now. So this is just so beautiful to observe when you have a journal. And so this is very, very helpful for me. And one of the biggest, another big learning is just, however you do it, is trust the process, and learn to check in with yourself. What is it you need now to support that process? Is it structure? Is it freedom? Is it working on compositions? Is it you crave colors? And for me, it's the division of, there is something my mind is telling me. My mind would say, Andrea, it would be a totally cool idea when you now do composition. And my heart would say, yeah, go for the color, mix that color. So I learned that the more I do intuitive art, the more I learn to trust that voice, and the voice gets louder and louder. And I'm so grateful and happy that I found that voice, actually, and now it's getting louder, and that I just learned to trust it. And I think that's with all art, there is another expression, and it's not the mind. And to learn to trust it, and to just stick with it, and to wherever your heart's calling you. That's right. When you want to sketch one day, sketch. When you want to grab the big canvas, do the great. So my days in my art, I can do every day totally different things, but I know within me they are somehow connected, and there is a truth, and I will find it out later. And it's totally okay to mix everything up, to do one day collage, another day I do this session, another day I have a really dark session, emotional session after journaling. It's all connected, and one day it will all make sense. So this is, yeah, there are a lot of treasures when creating art, and sticking to it, and learning to trust it. There is a lot between the lines, not only in the skill set you develop.
Beautiful. I loved all of that. I love the speaking into the phone. I've definitely used that, and reflection. And I love journaling. I've just got back into journaling too. So it's really powerful. I'd love to open it up. Who would like to ask a question, and I can spotlight you? I have a question for Andrea. Rebecca, let me add a spotlight. Go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm too an intuitive artist. I wondered if you had any particular artists that you're really sort of inspired by, whether that's through the process or visually, that kind of thing, that kind of started you off kind of, at the beginning of that journey.
I think in the beginning, because both are very popular, are Alice Sheridan and Louise Fletcher.
Oh, yeah.
So there are, because of their podcast, because of their membership. So I'm a member in both of their memberships, and they're just opened up how they are doing it, and they're just opened up. But the very first one, before I consciously have more or less chosen to be this abstract artist, was Flora Borley.
Yeah.
So and it was interesting. Before I knew what my subject matter was, I
Yeah.
discovered Flora, and afterwards I thought, so, oh my God, yeah, Flora, this is actually how I do it in my own way. But she taught me and now I get goosebumps. And she taught me through her principles, her openness, her heartfelt
Yeah.
creation, how to do it. And it was really, really interesting to have this loop back someday. So, yeah, it's Flora. That's so interesting. So I
It was-
think she was the biggest influence, and still is. I'm not so much into her Instagram, so I don't watch much of her so visually, but I have her books, and I have the latest book of Aliveness, and this is
yes.
such a treasure where I think I have it also close by, where I just sometimes flip to the
Everything.
side and let the wisdom speak to me. What is now the message of the day? So
That's
yeah,
really nice.
Flora
I
is.
like that idea. Yeah, no, that's
Mm,
really interesting because that was, yeah, me too. I was kind of at the beginning of my journey of the kind of abstract and sort of intuitive.
mm-hmm,
It was that kind of, I saw her, I watched her during the lockdown, kind of, she did these where you would
uh,
painting, I can't remember what they were called. And I was like, oh, this is really amazing. And then, like,
yeah.
listening to, and then this kind of, it was like, it's kind of what I'm doing, but it kind of gave me,
Mm-hmm,
it's interesting you talking about this, your sort of background with sort of structure. And
mm-hmm.
it kind of gave a kind of like a loose structure, but that whole idea of an understanding, I think she sort of explained that understanding.
Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
welcome. Thank you.
And who else would like to ask a question for Andrea? Oh, Raquel, let me add a spotlight.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi. Mm-hmm.
Hi. Hi. I resonated a lot with a lot of the things that you said, especially the well, there's one part where you said you tend to procrastinate with things that you
Mm-hmm.
love. That's one thing
Mm-hmm.
like I've noticed a lot, especially since I started
Mm-hmm.
my art journey. One thing that I've noticed like about me, and it's like been one thing like, oh my gosh, ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a full-time job, and I have a son with like, he has a bit of special needs. So sometimes like everything else, it's like so much. And I know you're now trying to do things a little bit more like sort of like what calls you in the moment, but would you recommend sort of like that type of like a structure? Like I love that. Like sometimes like I just go and like just go in the moment and I just feel like it and it just flows really easily. But there are times like I feel like I just really need, like I really struggle with that structure part. Like,
Okay.
you know, to sort of organize like that. So have you find some sort of balance as to like how to keep it structured, but then sort of you're not so structured that you're sort of enjoy that flowness as well?
Yeah, to find that balance. Yeah, definitely. So therefore I would definitely recommend having a sketchbook or this journal where you could just try things out, but then also you can write about it. You could also reflect about your art or write about what is it that stops you, for example, when you procrastinate. So just or something, sometimes you just flip through it and have this connection with your art. And this journal, as I started this year in January, I made it a promise to have it at least 30 days. So just to get the momentum. And when I'm in the momentum, and because procrastination is not a thing about discipline, because I was contemplating so much about it. I thought, so I'm such a disciplined girl when I want to be. What is the problem here? I never experienced it that way with Texas, yes, but not with the things I love. And I really dig deep in this theme of procrastination. And for me, it has a lot to do with fear to be seen, fear to be heard, fear to be in whatever fear. So I did a lot of parts work, and I still do. So all this felt into, okay, what is my inner child? How's my inner child? Where is a part of me who doesn't want to express, or what is it now? What is holding me back. So I'm journaling a lot about that, and I made it also as a kind of ritual. So rituals in general help me a lot with procrastination. I lit a candle. I have my incense, so there is, for me, it's especially important to smell things, so that then when I always do it, through the smelling, my subconscious knows, now it's time for sacred art. I get it. And I'm get more into the mood. I'm listening to more or less always the same music to get into it. It's piano or it's Kate Bush, but it's more or less on repeat since years. So to have a structure in that way, what is it that keeps me safe, and what do I need to feel safe to express myself? And is it this little tiny sketchbook? Is this feeling safe? And also, what feels familiar for me makes me feel good. And wearing every time the same clothes, so having a lot of rituals makes it easier for me to create art. Yeah, doing the parts work, for example, as another ritual, what I'm doing is I'm sitting there, taking the time and just journaling about what are the fears now, what is now coming up, why because I can, it most of the time I feel it in my body, this procrastination. I feel when I avoid it, and now I know there is a part in me that's not ready, that just wants to be hugged and said, everything is okay, we do not need to have a post, we need to show nobody, it's just for me and you. And it took me a long time that I can say art is my safe place, because art was not my safe place. Art is something dangerous. I express myself, I show myself to people. So I'm getting goosebumps again. And because this is actually my struggle, and because I know that is my struggle, there is the biggest treasure within me. And I know why I have this huge vision of creating huge canvases, and I'm still not there after 3 years, because it takes me forever. It maybe not, but it's baby steps for me, and it's this expression of myself. And therefore this is procrastination. It's huge, and there are really great books about it to understand it more. I think Fear and Art, or The War of Art, there are a lot of, from Stephen Pressfield, is War of Art, I guess, and then is Fear and Art. And when there is you can get in a rabbit hole when you Google for books about that. But I think it's mainly the relationship between you and your little girl. What maybe was shame to paint something what looks like that. So who paint that? Yeah, also, so that is so something we picked up, and there is something in us. We just need the hug, and it leads a lot of hugs, and it leads the hugs probably some weeks and months, and so a long time to feel safe. So at least for me, it takes forever. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Wow, so much wisdom there. I love it.
Yeah, that's a huge one. That's really this year, and procrastination is a huge topic. It's very emotional for me, definitely.
Afi, you'd like to ask a question? Okay, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi. Thank you for sharing. Actually, I had a question. I just noticed you do lots of writing. Writing in your, beside what you paint or draw. So I was wondering, do you have any specific structure to do? I mean, not structure, like, do you do it before you do painting, or you do after, or both, or yeah?
Oh yeah, I'm experimenting and exploring a lot of the things. I started out with this morning pages from Julia Cameron. So just to have every morning get out of your head. So I'm really a classical journaling. And then I started to combine it with my art. So after an art session, for example, I just sit there and notice and write down, what is it I loved, I didn't like, how did I felt? And it's the connection between me and my art I'm honoring in that moment. And I'm not only honoring it in my head because I'm thinking about, because while having a cup of tea, when writing it down, there is this feedback loop. I'm seeing myself writing it and I'm reading what I have written. And there is this loop and there is this, just a deepening into it. So there, for me, these reflections, and there can be structured. Sometimes I use questions that guide me, but then it's also the basic question: what did I like? What did I don't like? How did I feel? What do I want to do more of? When there is really something I see, and sometimes it's more about consciously writing down whatever comes into my mind. Because when I have a very emotional session like this one, and I was processing emotions and I was really, really, really sad and I feel very, very lonely, I have then the need to write it just down. There come memories up, maybe from childhood, there come, or just this feeling. And sometimes I can write like this, really just big emotion, or I can really, whatever, it's opening up the room and it will come to you. Whatever you need in the moment, trust it and it will just come up. It is, for me, I learn more and more to create space, and I have worked very layered in the first year, layers of layers of layers. And it's so interesting for me. It's also a learning curve to give space in my art and to see the mark they were made with my hands, and very slow and very emotional. And this was so really all my anger or whatever it was, frustration in it. And they are also giving me a feedback loop. Okay, there is space, Andrea. What is it telling you? What is telling you this? What is telling you this? So I'm creating space in my art, space somehow in my daily schedule, space in writing is for me space in my head, because I get something down and I give room for my feelings, for my thoughts. I give room to create a connection and to be more conscious, to just open up my consciousness, to be more aware of what I'm doing here, so that I can see the meaning. So art is somehow, this is telling me something, or for me it is, I'm creating something and this is also giving me a feedback loop. I'm learning from this art. Mostly I see the art and I recognize a theme in my feelings, in my emotions, in my daily thingies. This is telling me something before I recognize it. And so I started to pay more and more attention, and it's just opening up the room. And for me, writing is the choice. It's easiest, more easier.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Awesome. Any other questions? Put it out there. Okay. Well, Andrea, I am so excited that we had this conversation. I feel inspired. Yeah, you had so much like wisdom and you shared so much of, I love that you use your art in this intuitive way and you express your emotions and you talk about the struggle of it, of just doing it, because it is, it's true. It could be like it's a relationship, and it's a relationship with yourself. And it's like learning how to be okay with it and reflect on it. So I love your process. I think it's really, really beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, like when you were speaking and I was looking at the piece behind you, I was like, wow, you're talking about like the chaos and giving yourself space. And I'm like, I see all that in your artwork, but it's about like life. That's life, right? That's life. So it's beautiful. So, oh, Patricia saying
One
maybe
more
one
question.
more question. Okay, what is your, Patricia, can I put you on here, or would you just want to type it in? I'm not sure where you're at. And I don't mind if you're in your PJs.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
that's fine. Sorry, yeah, I am in my PJs. I'm really tired. I've been up since 5.
Yeah.
Long day and lots going on. But no, thank you so much, Andrea. It's been really interesting, and you've I think resonated with all of us actually with your, with everything you've said. And I think as all of us are artists in our own right, but I think that everything you've said is kind of really ringing true for a lot of us. But I think you've done incredibly well. I think your Instagram's amazing, and I just wondered what your plans were for the future. Like, are you just kind of in the flow right now, and you just kind of going with the flow? Because obviously that's something that as an artist you kind of need to keep going with, like the flow, right? It's really important. And I think we all ebb in and out of flow. Sometimes we sometimes we get stuck and it's horrible. And I just wondered what's your goal or vision for your art? Like, are you just happy kind of where you are right now, just flowing and doing amazing art and doing beautiful Instagram pictures, and or do you have bigger aspirations or not? I mean, it's totally fine if you don't, but I just wondered,
So yes, I do have. I'm learning to let them go, and I don't make any plans for them. But artistically, I started bigger canvases to prepare, and I really would love to create a series bigger, so 1 meter and 1 meter and 50 centimeters and 70 centimeters, so bigger work. So I think I have 12 or something prepared, and that would mean that I change from paperworks and still take the emotions, take the spaciousness, but also start working on canvas and layering again work. So this is a shift in and just how I do my art normally. So I came from this layering, and I loved it very, very, very much. And I could work on boards for months and had really a lot of layers. And I love the idea of this is a moment in time and the next moment in time, and it's like life. So the next experience comes and the next experience comes, and still we see just the surface, but it's a next experience. And I love that metaphor so much. So I'm really looking forward to create it. I still have my issue of, I don't know, it takes time, and I'm learning that my mind has a totally different understanding of time, and want to make things happen now or in 1 month. And I just no, I don't feel it today. I can't work on that now.
That feeling that you don't need to force it, and maybe
just I want to let this go, this forcing and pushing. I want to experience life where I meet life where life is, and not the story in my mind. And this is quite a process where I also have a beautiful book from Byron Katie, Loving What Is, what I try to understand the things of my mind and how it works, and to let everything go what just is a story. And when these 12 paintings will take me 3 years, and it will be 3 years, because there is this process, and this is something I want to anchor into myself and repattern myself, that this is a new way of being. I thought so, and in the past I always had this feeling of, I give it a little bit more truth, a little bit, then not I don't do it immediately, but then in 2 months or in 6 months. And I'm not in my mind yet where I really let it go. And I thought, so next year, Andrea, because I will take another maternity leave. You can do this in Germany. So still my son is 5, but I can take some months off from work. I said, okay, what is it when it's not the goal to create something special? What if the goal is to find a new way of living, of a lifestyle, of a true lifestyle, and this is your goal? And so a goal of living and being and feeling how I want to feel. I want to feel expressed in my art, truly expressed. I want to feel the freedom in my art, and everything else will come. If it is exhibition, if it is money, if it is whatever it is, and this is a process I need to repattern myself and reconditioning and feel into. Now is my mind speaking, now is my heart, and that is such a hard thing for me. It's a really emotional labor, actually. That this is, I want to create, and I want to create from a different place. And another thing is what I love to create and to see is I want to tell my story, because I know it's a hard thing for me to express myself. Even I'm fluent in English, and there is something in me that has a really hard time, and I would love to make a vlog on YouTube. I dream of this also since 2 years, and I want to just to show how my art is, how I feel, how I just everything I have shared with you now. I want to share it in a broader spectrum or whatever, and still being in myself, in my safe cocoon of my studio, and but I want to tell my story, so my emotions, and how, and I think that would really free me from all my childhood stuff, where probably nobody was so interested in what was my story. So I have this desire, I have a really big desire to tell my story, even if it's the scariest thing. Interestingly.
And so for you it's a lot about feelings and about expressing your feelings through the medium of art, and I think a lot of us resonate with that. And I was just wondering, just one last thing is, how do you feel when you don't make art? Like if you had,
there can be two things. I can be in a place where I can totally split with my art, and I have no desire. I can really be, and I'm exploring this part, because this is something that's I'm get out of flow, but I can really lose it completely. And that's something that's very, very scary. So I can be in one day in my studio, and I can see my art, and I can feel no connection at all. And that's such a scary place. And I think that has also something to do with the parts and being safe and being not safe. So there can be a part where it's very safe to express. And when I'm in not a good mood, because I feel overworked, I feel
exhausted,
whatever it is, exhausted, especially then I feel so, okay, so walls, and there is
but do you think those breaks from art like are really important? When you do finally come back, you feel like you've got the energy to kind of really do something, do you know what I mean? You've had a break, back, and you just have a fresh mind. And
I'm learning that. I'm learning that the hard way, because I'm overexhausted. I feel I'm often overexhausting myself to the point where I do this distraction thingy, or this dissociation with my art, so I can really cut it. And this is an unhealthy way. And then it's a hard time for me to come back. Hard time means slowly I get this connection, and that can take weeks. But when I don't feel anything, that's a scary place. And I learned from Pinkola Estes. How is she called? She has written Woman Who with the Wolves, One with the Wolves.
Women Who Run with the Wolves,
and she has another very, very beautiful book about the cyclic nature of creativity and the cycles. And as I had this year this hard cut feeling not much with my art, I said, okay, I need that book. And I listened to it, and it told me so much about about the seasons of creativity and how it is necessary to have this winter part where there is nothing, and after this after the weeks of having really a hard time to connect, I had a very emotional release in my art. So I also was wondering if I just build this up. So was that the process of suppressing, and then it was erupting, and it's a little bit, sometimes I'm just observing, and maybe it makes sense in 1 month, maybe in 1 year, but I'm still trying to find it out and to be as conscious as possible. And the new solution is I make art when I feel it, and when I don't feel it, and there is this app, there can be a lot of different reasons, because it's a season to not create, or maybe there is a disconnect, and I will find it out because I'm trying to be as conscious and as sensitive with myself and with my art. And mostly I catch myself. I'm avoiding something, therefore, or I'm disconnected, therefore I'm not doing my art. And then I try to, okay, what do I need now? What do I need now to get back to it? Or is it just, I often have this part of, I let it go. I let it completely go. There is nothing I want to do, to reach, I have a paper series I started in March, and then I felt this disconnect, and I won't touch it until, so I just trust myself, whatever comes, whatever feels right, and then and feel into what do I need.
Yeah, and just very, very, very lastly, one more question.
My pleasure.
How do you feel when you get back in the studio after a break and you make some art? What are the kind of feelings that you have?
I take it slow now, definitely. I was always pressuring myself in the past. Now I'm going back, and now I'm doing it. And now is this, and now will this happen? In my mind, I had created a whole bunch of new paperworks, whatever. My mind is coming up with a lot of funny ideas what will happen when I go back in the studio. But normally I know myself, I catch myself, and I start with a ritual. I always start like that. I try to go into my body first. Is it dancing? Is it yoga? I lit the candle. I'm very slow. I'm touching. I needed to learn to touch my art, because 2-3 years ago I was I just sit there and watch my art, but now I feel it's time to get a connection. I flip through books, also through my sketchbooks, I flip through my art, I touch my art. It's just, and then I get a feeling, whatever comes. And it's a lot, I learned this year a lot about safety. What makes me feel safe to start creating? And I need the safety, and it's a feeling in my body. It's a feeling of groundedness. It's a feeling of trust, and I'm getting satisfied. So I have Mondays and Fridays my creative days. And in the past I would say, and now use the day, and there is a structure of the day, and I do this and this and this and this, and I have 6 hours, and they are completely structured, and I do this, and it would be make very unhappy over a period of time. And now I'm happy when when it is only half an hour, I honor it. And everything else was cleaning, was this, was that. It's just giving me time and everything to learn. Everything is allowed. There is no protocol. There is no pressure to learn. That I don't put any pressure on myself. I have so much. I don't know. My parents have, and society does. I feel so free to say no more. I'm easing into. And whatever, and my art will teach me. My art will teach me a different way of living for my soul, and where I just live for my feelings. And this is the most important part. And
really love that.
Is so
Thank
freeing.
you so much. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for your time and answering all these beautiful questions and sharing this with us. We are so grateful and inspired. And we should share this interview on YouTube. Like, I think that would be like manifesting what you wanted. Share the
Yeah.
love, share the expression. The time is now, right?
Mhm.
But we'll definitely follow you on Instagram, and we'll keep in touch, because I'm sure we're gonna,
Yeah.
we love to watch your journey. So thank you again.
Oh, thank you all. It was so, so lovely. And I felt so, cozy and safe and so, seen and cherished. So thank you very much. Such a pleasure. Mhm.
Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening or afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.